Hello, my name is Terry. I'm with PTF and we all met at the Pythian Castle ghost hunt at Friday, March 8th, 2019. This video is the condensed footage that was recorded from 4 video cameras and other pieces of equipment used during the investigation. This is the Ovilus device. This is my personal individual device that I loaned out to various people during the 3 rotations at the castle. In the first clip, the device was trying to pronounce the individual's last name, which was Brecken. It was using the word beckon, which is the closest thing that it could do within the limitations of the dictionary. On occasion, they will go beyond the ability of the dictionary and actually say what they intend. Usually this is only during certain instances when the entity is so strong that it is able to override the dictionary of 4,000 words and imprint its own individual words, overriding the dictionary itself. While discussing the situation with the 2 individuals involved, the Ovilus piped up and said the word yes, indicating that that was its intent, was to speak their name.
Now, what word did it say when it was trying to describe your name?
Beckon.
Beckon.
Yeah.
And his Brecken.
Brecken. Okay.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
In the second clip, we'd asked it to make it colder, which it did do. Then the Ovilus spoke up and started interacting, inferring that it knew and understood what was going on regarding the changing of the temperatures, indicating that it was responsible.
I'm getting temperature drops. Can you ask him to drop it further?
Can you make it get colder in here?
So when we were walking back out,
What did that say?
it started saying all kinds of random things. But then it said temperature, okay, and
In front of me, when I said, ask if you can make it colder, I didn't hit record until after. The temperature went from 40 and it just kept going down to like 18 or 19.
but then when we got just about here, that's when.
That thing said temperature.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just outside the tunnel, the camera captured a mumbling voice. What's of interest is although none of us heard it at the time, someone else who had a live review voice recorder in the adjacent room had also heard this exact same voice and described it perfectly. Another interesting point is that the Ovilus device, which was running, came up with a phrase, "me and Europe," indicating that either this was a soldier who had served in Europe or that they were a prisoner of war from one of the European countries, either Germany or Italy. There's no way of knowing which is correct.
Unlike his, which is a big, heavy footstep, clearly it's a man walking. Hers was this dainty nurse shoe, like walking down that tunnel. And occasionally you'll smell like a perfume or a floral type smell in the tunnel. It's very distinctive.
Is your
And
ambulance, is it going off right now? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I was like, I kept hearing like a weird voice. That's why I was like,
Saying
what?
me, Europe, while you're telling the story, he's saying me, Europe.
9.
Europe.
But I kept hearing like talking. That's why I was like, what is that? I marked it. I'm recording though.
Okay. No,
That's why I was asking if that was saying stuff. Because it's a weird, like, do you know what voice I'm talking about? Like,
yeah.
While at the very end of the tunnel, one of the cameras recorded a very weird conversation taking place between 2 of the entities. They apparently were describing that they were on the other side of the wall behind us, and several of us had been picking up the sounds of movement and activity from behind the wall in the military building, which is on the other side, which has been abandoned. The 2 entities apparently were at odds over whether or not to communicate with us, and they were making statements which don't entirely make sense, but apparently they were debating whether or not that they should communicate with us. While we were down in the tunnel, someone was running a ghost app. This is a speaking voice, and you can tell by its hollow nature that it's artificial. While this was going on, it was saying, allow her to tell, was coming from the device. Immediately after the device speaks this, an EVP voice pipes up and says he's dead.
That was ministry, not normal.
Oh, good.
The next clip contains nothing of paranormal interest, but I included it in the video because it does tie in with other things that we have documented. Several sensitives who've been down in this tunnel have commented on the spirit of an Italian POW down in the tunnels. Some have even gone so far as to say that he was handcuffed to one of the pipes, and he may have died at this place during a boiler explosion or when a pipe ruptured. We don't have any records during the military time period, so it's just speculation on our part as to what was going on during the military years after Pythian Castle had been turned over to the Army. We've also speculated that the U.S. military soldier seen in a green Army uniform also died down in this tunnel. We believe that he also died at the same time during this boiler explosion.
So whatever's here at the time,
There is an Italian spirit down here.
is there?
Yes.
I asked Mr. Boots if he could whistle for us. He did oblige, but you'll notice this clip is split into two parts. He didn't whistle for us at the time that I'd asked him to, but this isn't uncommon. For some reason, Mr. Boots seems to be out of sync with requests, and he will do things, but not necessarily at the exact moment that you ask him to. There may be a lag from 30 seconds to 20 minutes or an hour before he actually does what you request of him. I don't know if this is because his hearing is altered and he's hearing things at a far later time frame than when we're saying it, or if it takes him a certain amount of time to gather his strength to comply with these requests.
I have to ask him. Mr. Boots, can you whistle? I heard whistling. Hey, did you whistle down there? Nope. Did you hear it?
Nope. I heard that.
Oh, I heard it.
One interesting point is that Mr. Boots seems to be able to trigger sonic booms. I believe this is him trying to replicate his own death.
Seriously, that's really ugly. Oh.
There. Did you hear that?
Yes.
That sounded like a weird metallic sound.
The next two sets of clips contain the sounds of Mr. Boots walking in the tunnel. The first one is very minor, the second one is much louder and more distinct. However, he is also capable of producing a much louder footstep, and I've documented this on several occasions. Each footstep will actually shake the ground like a seismic event of a mini earthquake. And this is what frightens a lot of the people down in the tunnel. As he's walking towards them, they can feel the ground shake with each footstep. He was not at that level of strength during this event, but the second set of clips in particular is quite well clear to hear and very distinct.
Not really.
I heard someone scuffling. The touching people, you know, people think that either if you're at the very beginning or end, that those are the only ones who get touched. He will leapfrog over the people at the beginning and end and touch people in the middle of the line. And so you can do all sorts of weird things.
Well, I have to admit, when you said touch somebody, I felt something here in my ear.
Yeah.
Well, it was like an electricity kind of feeling.
The next clip is very unusual in that it tells us where the individual is from. He speaks the name Newport. This is the first time we've ever been given an actual location by one of these entities. They're usually very cagey about providing names and dates and locations. So this is actually quite a breakthrough for us to give us at least a little piece of information to work with.
I got quite a spike on that.
You know, when he touches people, it feels like walking through cobwebs.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's,
how I felt. Like I felt twice.
yeah, that's,
That's why I'm like, oh.